So I'm back in the survey data, and this time I want to take a look at one piece of data that might be a little bit confusing when you're trying to decide how you're going to process this. And that's the age, because we have a large number of different ages, and it might be a question as to how you're going to represent that if you're doing a project where you have this type of data. So what we're going to do is, first of all, figure out what our ranges of data, what our range of data is. In other words, we want to know what values our data goes from and up to, and then we're going to decide how many classes or bins we're going to divide our data into. So to calculate what our minimum value is, instead of looking through our data, we can use the Excel function for minimum, which is equals for the function, and then start typing MIN. And again, you just go over to the table, wait, when you see the black downward arrow, click that and press enter. And so our minimum age, I'm just going to move this over. So minimum age is 18. So the youngest person that was surveyed in this was 18. And so I want to know what the maximum age is. Then I put in the function equals max, and then again, hold the cursor over the column until you see the black downward arrow. So the oldest person in the survey is 89. So the range of our data will be equal to the maximum age subtract the minimum age. So that's how you determine the range of data. So basically, if we're going to do this as, we don't want to have a huge graph where we go from 18 as our frequency, 19, 20, 21, and so forth. We want to break this up into classes. And so since we've got a range of 70, there's different strategies as to how you can decide what to break the classes up into, but it should be something that's reasonable given the data. And so what I'm going to choose to do here is I'm going to make 7 classes, and I'm going to start, my top class is going to be above 79, and my youngest class is going to be below 29. So what I'm going to do is put in, now this is going to be part of our function, but I'm going to insert a symbol, and I'm going to choose less than or equal to. And so the first one is going to be less than or equal to 29. So anybody that's below 29, and I'm just going to go over here and check to make sure that that seems reasonable. So if I check the number of so it's not as though we've got the whole chart is out of that range. So I'm going to clear the filter. Looks good. So my first class is going to be less than or equal to 29. My next one, I'm going to make less than or equal to 39. Now I've got a pattern here. So what I'm going to do is just highlight both cells and cursor down. And then my last category is going to be greater than, so I'm going to insert another symbol. Will be greater than 79. Now, when you choose your classes, it's important that there's no overlap. Here I'm defining that 29 will be in this category, and 30 will be in this category. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to have my bin max, or bin maximum. and this will be included in my bin. So first one will be 29. Now this is for the purposes of the function you're going to be using, and this is going to be for the purposes of how we're going to graph this. So the next one is 39. And again, what I can now do is highlight down, and I'm going to stop at 79. And so we're going to leave a space here for the next one, which is going to be how we're going to create our frequency intervals. So frequency. Now, we're going to use a function here, and we're going to highlight beside these cells all 6 of these plus one more. And this is very important you follow these steps, and then you're going to type equals, and you're going to use the frequency function. Now our data array is going to be our column for age. And then we're going to press comma, and our bin array is going to be cell, and I'm going to put in Q3, which is the one with our 29. So Q3, 2, and it's going to go up to, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's Q8. And now, very important, don't press enter. What you have to press here is, on a PC, you press Shift Control Enter. On a Mac, you press Shift Command Enter. And automatically what it does is it gives you the frequency. Now, just to test this out, so if we want to see how many people are above 79, 80 is not included in that, and neither is included in that. So I'm going to count just to show you that this works. And so this is going to be equals count if, and my range. And I want to know how many 80-year-olds there are. There's 6. So there's our totals. And there's nobody that's 90 because we knew that our maximum age was 89. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to highlight all these cells. And there's on our home tab, there is a sum notation. That means that's sum notation. You're going to see that next little bit when we talk about mean as well as standard deviation. And so what you're going to do is click that, and we get an answer of 59. And notice that that matches up in the table our frequency. Now, if we're going to put this in a chart, and this is very important that you do it this way, because I get a lot of people asking, how do you do this? And so I'm going to put in here age range. And so what I'm going to do is highlight this, and on a PC, you press Control. On a Mac, you press Command. While you're holding that down, highlight your other column, and then press Insert and your chart. And we'll go with a clustered column. And so there we have our chart. And again, we could start looking for something that looks a little bit better for us. Might want something like that where it shows the values. So now we've created here so whichever one you want to use to illustrate your results would be good like that. So make sure that when you create the chart or create the array that you press Shift Command Enter on a Mac and Shift Control Enter on a PC. Now, one thing you might want to clarify a little bit is if you look at this range, and here we have less than 39, and we've got a frequency of 381. Now, it's a little bit confusing because really this is our range between 30. 30 is included in this bin, up to and including 39. So I want to change this because I want to have make sure that someone reading this graph understands that 30 is part of this interval or this bin. So I'm going to type in 30, then 2 less than 39 equal 39. And then I can do this for the rest. And you'll notice in the chart, it's changing it as well so that I don't have to create a new chart. And this is a little bit more specific about what the data is actually showing. Now, if you consider this data to be discrete, for example, someone was asked if they are 40 or 41, you might consider that to be discrete. Other people might consider it to be continuous. So if you're dealing with a frequency, class frequency histogram or data that is continuous, then what we should look at is changing our chart type. So I'm going to change it here to something that is more representative of a histogram. So our quick layout here, something along these lines where it melds into one another, and we can actually change our colors if you want, something like that. And so then now this data here does more resemble, in this case, a histogram, which would show continuous data. We don't want it separated by bars.